Good evening, popular astronomers. It's Popastro Live with Vicky. And as I've stated before, this show I think has had more locations than the Antiques Roadshow. I'm in a different area each week. And this week is definitely no exception. I thought I'd found my forever home in the room next door, but it was really, really echoey. And this is probably the very first astronomy chat show that's been broadcast from and you can't see it, but there's a bank of washers and tumble dryers next to me, but at least the stacks of bedding and duvets are muffling the sound because I think I'm in a former stable conversion actually. So there we go, I'm in a blooming laundrette. Let's have a look. The comments are flooding in already. Good afternoon, evening, Paulina. How are you today? Thank you. It's always so good to see you with your lovely shiny fringe. I tried to grow a fringe once, it just did not work. Curly fringes are difficult to say the least. So welcome to Popastro Live. This is our live astronomy chat show. Praying that the internet holds out. Let me know if I'm pixelated or choppy. There are a lot of people on the internet around me, and we are very, very far west out on Anglesey, away from all the main exchanges. Pretty much the last stop before Ireland here. So yeah, let me know how it goes. So this evening, I've got the mug. This mug, because I've been on the road so much lately, the mug just gets forgotten. I mean, it's not often you remember to pack a travel mug, is it? So, plug the mug. This mug is available from, hello everybody. This mug, it's a pretty colour, isn't it? This is available from the Popastro shop. To be fair, this is one of the kind of less amusing, straightforward ones. They've got all sorts of lovely comments on them, like I make my drinks the Milky Way, and I can't remember what the others are. But if you go to the shop, you can purchase these. And because I've been on the go, well, inside the mug this week is a load of dried up old garlic. Yeah! As it happens, I have got fresh, big, massive cloves of garlic from the farmer's market. So it's about time I release these little ones back into the wild. We'll have a garlic releasing ceremony tomorrow. And hang on a minute. Wait a minute. How can I? Where is it? It's the camera. There it is. There we go. Look at that. Now I've got something of interest in the background. A mug full of garlic. Good evening, everybody. Ian, thank you. One of our good evening. Steve Fractal's a man with a million faces and counting. Bob Chambers is saying hi, Vicky. Hello, Bob. Who's that you with in that picture? Forgive me if I don't know. I'm sorry. And Helena Murphy, greetings all. Hello. Lovely to see you all. It's the Friday night vibe, isn't it? I'm so excited. I have just had a very large fruit scone with Nutella on it, so I'm riding high on the sugar. Riding high on the sugar. We have got a cracking show for you this evening. We have got three top, I held up, no, that's the right amount of fingers. I held up three fingers. Three top guests for you this evening. We've got Grant Bowskill of the Icarus Imaging Observatory Project, which is a remote imaging facility in Spain. He's also of First Light Optics as well. And if you get our magazine, which I thought I put it in the bag. Honestly, I tell you, I need a roadie to carry my magazines for me. He's frequently advertising in the Popular Astronomy magazine. We've got doctor. We have a doctor. There will be a doctor in the house shortly. Dr. David Whitehouse, former be back to the moon and onto Mars, and that's the subject of his latest book, Space 2069. And we've got the wonderful Steve Tonkin achieving dark sky reserve status for the Cranbourne Chase AONB, and he has got some fantastic news for us all, which I saw that he'd released on Facebook earlier, and he said he's been grinning like a kid on Christmas Day when he found out the news. So we have got some really, really feel-good astronomy news coming shortly towards kind of about maybe 25 to 9, courtesy of Steve Tonkin, who is top man. Okay, so this is your show. Because we're a society, it means you can contribute as well. Look at this. People are making friends in the chat room. Jed Mack says, evening, Vicky. Gerard from Wirral. Bob says, hi, Paulina. Look at this cross-pollination happening. It's great. There is good stuff happening in the sky right now. I have just checked outside, and just bear with me while I open this little window. computer. Let's have a look. Jupiter is the bright one, and Saturn is just above the moon. The Mars is rising over in the east. So we're going to have Jupiter, Saturn. So we've got Jupiter is the really bright one. Saturn is the one above the half moon tonight, and Mars is rising over in the east. What a treat. 3. Really, you've got binoculars or a telescope, you might just about be able to pick out the rings of Saturn. You might just be able to see the red spot of Jupiter moons, and Mars at the minute is just looking so fiery and red and angry on the horizon. What a treat. And I've just been told also that it's NASA's International Observe the Moon night tomorrow night, or words to that effect. And it's great because the moon is currently in relief, or at least on the Terminator, it's in relief, so you can really on all those amazing shadows that are being cast. Okay, so now we are going to go on over to, we've got Grant coming on. Grant, I'm coming to you. Oh, here we go. Look, Pam says, just back, oh, I missed the ISS. I've not seen it for months, actually. Just back indoors from looking at the moon, Jupiter, as they call it in Spain, Saturn, and a brilliant ISS pass. Well done, Pamela. And you win Avatar of the Week, because that is a cracking picture. I guess that's Andromeda. I guess it is. What do you reckon it is? No, the moon is the really bright one. Of course it is, Jerry. I'm always getting them muddled up. Right, okay. We're going over to Grant right now. What, he's drinking something? It looks like a pint. 3, 2.
Evening, everybody. Hello.
Hey, Grant, how are you?
I'm super. How are you guys?
We are all excellent at the SPA, inevitably.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's good to get some clear skies tonight. That's always good news as well.
Yeah, the moon is looking quite scudding in front of it, and it lights up the moon.
Yeah, it's we're hoping tomorrow is going to be clear for the International Observe the Moon. I heard you just mention that. So a little plug for my local Astro Society, Letchworth and District. We're doing something online tomorrow night for International Observe the Moon. So fingers crossed it's clear.
Fingers crossed it's clear. Very good. Yeah. Steve Fractal says, hi, Grant. Do you know Steve?
I don't. Well, I don't recognise the name, but it's possible. I know lots of Steves. There's lots of Steves in astronomy. Everybody in astronomy is called Steve. That's
Oh, we could do a spreadsheet to find out what's the most popular astronomer's name. So, Grant, whereabouts are you this evening?
So I live in not so sunny Bedfordshire, and not so dark and clear Bedfordshire either. Yeah, so I live in a little village which isn't too bad for light pollution, but we moved just before lockdown, so I've not actually done any astronomy here yet, unfortunately. So yeah, that's to come.
I had a fantastic lockdown experience with my new telescope, my first telescope. So yeah, precious memories to me of observing Venus and seeing the kind of spring constellations for the first time without an astronomer showing me how to do it, doing it all on my own. And I felt very powerful. It was good.
Well, my astronomy, I guess my astronomy lockdown memory that will last forever is obviously the comet. But I was very lucky that I actually took my son. I woke up at 3 a.m. I took my son to the top of a hill nearby where there's a water tower. So it's the highest point overlooking, and we saw the comet. We saw noctilucent clouds. We saw Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars behind us, and it was just one of those evenings that I'll just never forget. It was unbelievable. So yeah, it's been good.
Oh yeah, I guess I remember my dad when probably I was about 12 or 13 taking us to a bed and breakfast in North Birmingham, and that is a really potent memory.
Yeah, they live with you forever, don't they? It was we struggled the next day being up that late, but it was well worth it.
So excellent news, Grant. Now, did you get the memo about wearing a certain thing?
I did, but I failed. I don't have fancy astronomy t-shirts. All I have is my Icarus imaging t-shirt. So that's the smallest little nod to astronomy. Yeah, I'll have to be better prepared next time. Yeah, I'm surrounded by props, but no outfits, I'm afraid.
Show us a good astro prop, please.
There's
That's
one, which I'm never going to go. Well, there's a couple of things. There's on the wall behind me is my. I don't know how many years I've had this, but it's supplied by David Bryant at Space Rocks. It's some little meteorites, framed meteorites, just on the wall. So that's lived with me for a while. We've got various test telescopes in the background and bits and pieces there. So I promise they are not there. They're always there. My room is absolutely cluttered. They're not deliberate props. It's just part of the fun of the day job, really. I get to surround myself with bits and pieces and play with things and try things out. So I'm a bit of a gearhead. So I'm kind of in the ideal job for that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I mean, I made it my mission about 2 years ago to make space and astronomy my job because it's pretty much all that I'm interested in.
Oh, it's a fantastic way of life, definitely, and especially if you get to share it. I think that's the hence being online tonight with you guys. It's a pleasure to share anything to do with astronomy with other people, and try and inspire people or help people along their journey, because it's a big hobby. It covers lots of different areas, and if we can help some small bit of it for people, it's very rewarding.
So, Grant, you were a founding member of the Stargazers Lounge, and so that's been going for about 15 years. How's it going nowadays?
It's been going a long time. Yeah, I think we've found our own sort of pathway with the forum, which is we don't do a lot of the social media stuff. We tend to keep the forum as a forum. We've tried various things over the years, and what we tended to find is the forum is a forum, and it's doing well in that sense. We've started adding things on during lockdown, so we now do virtual talks every Sunday, which is been good fun. And yeah, no, it seems to be going from strength to strength, but times change, and I think we see a lot more stuff on Facebook and social media now. So it's trying to get involved in all the places where astronomers are.
Excellent. So how many members have you got of that forum then?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we are, I should know this off by heart, shouldn't I? I think we are now, where are we? 67,000 members.
Oh, nice.
The next milestone for us is 4 million posts, which is quite a significant milestone. And I think the thing I've always liked about the forum is it's another type of outreach. It's a way of people helping each other. I find the forum invaluable. Whenever I'm searching any kind of astronomy question, invariably I end up on Stargazers Lounge or Cloudy Nights or one of the other forums, or the SPA forum, where people are helping each other. And it's that knowledge that gets locked away in forums that is invaluable to people, particularly with problem solving with drivers and adapters and spacing, the issues we all struggle with. And I think that's where forums can be a fantastic resource.
With 67,000 members, I could take my astronomer bothering to a whole new level.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's been going a long time though. So, I mean, people tend to come and go with things like this, and particularly with hobbies. Hobbies come and go as people's lives change, and it's often nice seeing somebody come back after several years away. Coming back to the hobby when they retire or when circumstances change. And you kind of pick up with people where they kind of left off. Yeah, it's funny now because it's been going so long. You do see people, you see people who started as kids and are now adults and having kids of their own, and that's very fun.
It's such it's just the best hobby for me. So tell us about the Icarus. Confess, I didn't know about it until you mentioned it this afternoon.
Yeah, so it's not something we've heavily publicised so far outside of the forum, particularly. As you mentioned, I work for First Light Optics. That's my day job, and as part of that, we try to do other projects, not just retail. We set up the Clear Outside website. We set up a website called Astronomy Tools. So we've set up lots of resources and been involved in a lot of other kind of community things behind the scenes, because it's what makes us tick as well. We're amateur astronomers, so we like to give back and we like to get involved in things. So just over a year ago, we decided we wanted to set up a remote setup as an opportunity to test equipment. You know, we're always getting new telescopes, new cameras, new bits and pieces that we need to test. And in the UK, obviously, with our cloudy skies, you know, sometimes you can wait a month or two till you get a good clear spell. So that was one of the motivations. But the other motivation was we really wanted a way to share good quality data with people, so they could learn themselves, so they could practice their processing. So that was the starting point, really, is trying to make it a bit more collaborative. So we take suggestions from people of what targets to go after next. And it's only been recently we released the first set of data and run a processing competition to see the different results people could come up with the data. And we've just released our second set of data about a week ago, and these are all freely available. So the data is there for anybody who wants to play with it, use it for whatever purpose, apart from commercial, obviously, that's not the idea of it. And this is a stepping stone, really. So the next steps with the project are, you know, we really like to take this further and hopefully start to do some citizen science type stuff with it. We've also done quite a lot of live viewing with it during the lockdown. So particularly with my local society, it's been a really fantastic resource because we haven't been able to use our physical observatory in Letchworth. Being able to do some stuff through Zoom and live stacking from Spain has been really rewarding way of staying in touch with people and sharing, you know, a live experience. I mean, it doesn't replace looking for an eyepiece. Nothing replaces looking for an eyepiece, but it's something, and it's good fun.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that so beautifully. So what do you see next for the Icarus Observatory? I did find the magazine, actually. I hid it from myself.
I
yeah. Your advert here. That's
yeah.
That's your first light optics, which we'll chat about in a minute, and that's your Icarus little logo Icarus there.
Yeah, so Icarus Imaging is a separate website at the moment under the same umbrella, and that was when Ian King joined us last year, and he brought some of the sort of the higher end brands and things to the table. And the Icarus Observatory project was an extension of that, because Ian brought with him a lot of experience in remote observatory setups and you know, things of that nature. But in terms of what's next for it, as I say, we'd like to get into the being able to make the data available for citizen science projects. There's a lot of interest in some variable star research, and we've got various members involved in different bits and pieces now, and occultation research and exoplanet stuff. And so we'd like to not just collect pretty picture data, as much as I enjoy doing that. We'd also like to do some kind of proper science with the setup we've got over there. So that's partly one of the next steps. The other thing is we'd like to make it a bit more available to people doing some live viewing stuff. So for societies potentially, and for our own use. Tomorrow night, I mentioned my local society, we're doing an International Observe the Moon night. Well, we'll be using Spain as a backup. If it is cloudy here in the UK, hopefully I can get a live lunar image from Spain. So at least we potentially have something to look at and talk about. But, you know, it's quite early stage with this project. I would like to take it a lot further, just because I'm a bit of a gearhead. So I like having this kit and collecting this data. But what I'd really like to do next is set up a planetary setup, because there isn't really access to planetary type capture setups remotely. Typically remote setups tend to be deep sky, which is what we have at the moment. So we'd really like to have a planetary setup. So again, at the moment, Mars, Saturn and Jupiter are, you know, extremely well placed. But the scene in the UK, certainly over the last week or two, I don't know how everyone else has found it, has been a bit pants. So hopefully having a setup in Spain where we can collect some data and do some live viewing with people will help us, you know, just extend things a bit further.
Wow, cool. Okay, so now a friend of mine wanted to try and buy a telescope last week out of the particular model, and I contacted the shop and they said there aren't even any coming in on the boat from China. So how have you found, like, what they said to me, astronomy has gone crazy over lockdown?
It has, and it's kind of strange, because we were quite worried just before lockdown about the impact it would obviously have on our business, and if the warehouse would be locked down and all these sorts of factors. We just didn't really know what was going to happen. I guess nobody did. But actually, I think people being locked down at home, hobbies have just gone crazy, unbelievable. There really are no words to describe what the last few months have been like. It's just been an incredible journey, and trying to keep up with it. It's like having 4 Christmases come at once, and we just weren't prepared. Nobody was prepared. And realistically, it's going to be quite far into spring next year, I think, until the supply chains have a chance of catching up at this point. And it's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic to hear some of the stories of people getting into astronomy during lockdown. And we had, that amazing patch of clear skies in the early lockdown. We had Neowise. We had, like it or hate it, the Starlink satellites generated so much interest with young people, and the SpaceX launch and stuff like that. It's just been a phenomenal year for astronomy and hobbies in general, I think, with the lockdown. So yeah, it's hard for us to keep up day to day. It's a real challenge at the moment. We've employed a lot more staff over the last few months to try and handle this. So we're doing everything we can, and trying to be as upfront with the lead times as we can with people and set those expectations. But the reality is that we just cannot get enough stock quick enough. It is pretty amazing.
I bet if you were to compare notes with the train set man and the cross stitch and crochet warehouse, all of their stuff was sold out as well, and colouring felt tips as well.
Well, I'm also into my home. So my home brewing also, I was struggling to get ingredients. I was struggling to get deliveries because everybody was getting into home brewing during the lockdown. We also got into rock tumbling. It was something my son had wanted to do. And we had to wait weeks and weeks to get a rock tumbling machine. Because again, it's just a hobby thing, an educational thing. So, it kind of makes sense when you look at it retrospectively, but it certainly wasn't something we predicted in advance.
With your advertising on the back of the Our magazine, which comes out every 2 months. So thank you for that. It's been a pleasure, and good luck with everything. And thank you for being a friend of the community.
Thank you. Night, everybody.
All right, bye. Oh, great. Thank you. That was lovely. Okay, first, should I not room for quite a while? And then after I've chatted with David, I'm going to review this. What is it? From Celestron? Is it a telescope? Blatantly not, but it's a little bit more than a torch. Coming up in a couple of minutes, I'm going to review this absolute beast. Ooh, you wouldn't like to be walloped with that. That would hurt. Right, we're going over to David Whitehouse. Here he comes in 3, 2, 1. Hi, David.
Hello there.
Hi, thank you for coming to join our fun show this evening.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking me.
It's a pleasure. Whereabouts are you this evening?
I'm near Farnborough in Hampshire. It's very windy and it's quite cold. So beautiful clear night last night. I was up till really late watching the summer triangle leave the night sky. But not so good tonight, but perhaps later.
Yes, Steve Fractal's the man with a million faces and candles, making the planets boil. So,
can you hear me?
Not that it's a claim to fame, but I live on Anglesey, which is the 4th windiest place in the UK. So it's supremely windy here right now. Supremely windy. Not nice to see that it's not just me. So, David, then, it's very good that you have come on to see us. You have got a new book, which you think is, well, what is going to happen in space in the next 50 years. This is the sequel to storybook. First of all, well done for writing a book. I've got a trail. Well done for completing and getting it to the publisher.
Well, right. I think getting the first one out is the big thing. I mean, when I wrote my first book, although actually my first book was never published because the publisher at the time had spent all their money buying Margaret Thatcher's biography.
Okay.
And they wrote to me saying, well, we love your book and we're going to pay you for it. We're not going to publish it. So I sort of, when I read Margaret Thatcher's biography, which I did many years later, it was a bittersweet experience in more ways than one. But no, I had my first book published about 20 years ago, and it's a book I've always wanted to write, and it was about the moon. So get your first book published, because that inspires you to do the rest. Seeing your name on the spine of a book is just wonderful.
Oh, right. Okay. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. So one of your big interests is returning to the moon, but what would be the difference between a voyage to the moon and going to Mars?
Oh, well, I mean, it's about time we went back to the moon. It's been nearly 50 years since the last footprint on the moon, since Gene Cernan left. And it looks as though it's going to happen. I mean, believe it or not, there are good space presidents in the United States and there are bad space presidents. And believe it or not, Trump might end up being a good space president, because he said to NASA some time ago, and although his motives were not entirely for exploration, he said, you've got a plan to put people back on the moon by 2028. Why don't you make it 4 years earlier in 2024? And this week, NASA went to Congress, the American government, asked for the proper amount of money they need. But more importantly than that, they've signed on Italy and Japan. And one of the rules of why past efforts to go to the moon from NASA have failed is because they didn't internationalize the project as much as they could. But now that Japan is on and Italy is on, it's going to be very difficult for the American government not to give them the money they need to go.
Oh, dear me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's kind of chopping in and out, but that might be just one of those things. I keep on thinking, instead of building HS2, they should be building high-speed internet for us all to have lovely, high-quality Zoom calls.
You're right now. You're fine.
Sorry?
You're fine now. I can hear you well now.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so just chat, recap what you were saying. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you right now, but I didn't hear the question.
Yes, you mentioned, sorry, I'll move on to the next question. So how did you get into astronomy then? Because your career as an astronomer is like very exciting.
Well,
exciting for me because GB.
Well, I've been an astronomer, I've been a journalist, and now I'm an author. But I got into astronomy because of a millionaire called F.W. Woolworth. Remember him? He used to be on every high street. And it was one Christmas when I was about 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
In Birmingham. And my mum and I were walking around Woolworths. And I said, I want that book for Christmas. And I was pointing at this great big thick encyclopedia. But she thought I was pointing at about this tiny book on astronomy, which was, really, really thin and small. Come Christmas Day, of course, I get the tiny book on astronomy. And that's the end of the world for a 5-year-old. It's not the book I wanted. But I read it. And since I read that, I've been totally hooked on astronomy. And I'm fortunate to be able to make my life doing astronomy in one way or other. I got to be an astronomer for many years at Jodrell Bank and at the University College London. But I've always, at the same time, wanted to write and communicate. And I did an awful lot of stuff when I was an astronomer. In fact, the reason I got to stay an astronomer is because at Jodrell Bank, the grant they gave me wasn't enough to live on. And I needed such things like food in order to do my astronomy. So I broadcast once a week for Piccadilly Radio. And I met lots of up-and-coming DJs who then went on to work in Radio 1 and Radio 2. And I learned microphone technique in the middle of the night, because they used to have a thing called needle time, which meant that during the day, It was needles and records during the night, like speech. So I learned a lot about radio from Piccadilly Radio, and then when I graduated onto Radio 4, it was a piece of cake, really.
Oh, so as a fellow radio girl, I didn't realise it was quite a radio microphone, but it makes me feel a little bit radio-y.
You are.
Yeah, excellent. So Jerry Stone is saying, hi, David, nice to see you.
Hi, Jerry, how are you?
I take it you know Jerry?
I know Jerry. Everybody knows Jerry. Jerry gives some of the best talks there are about spaceflight, and he presented me years ago with the first space reporting Arthur, which I've still got somewhere on the shelves behind me. So thank you very much for that, Jerry.
Excellent. Early though, you were president of the SPA.
Yes, I was in the 1990s when I was working for the BBC as their science correspondent, mainly in radio, a bit of television. And yes, I was for 3 years your illustrious president, which was great fun. I must admit. Although it did come at a time when I was very busy professionally.
I've got hang on a minute. I've got merch tonight now. I've got my merch
Yeah.
on. I've got the Astronomy is Looking Up t-shirt on, which is the retro one, I'm told. I've got me. Look at that. I love the SPA. It's fantastic. It's bringing so many lovely people and new
astronomers are very special people. They're wonderful people. I mean, it's a joy to go to astronomy societies and astronomy gatherings and talk to people, because we each come to astronomy in our own way through a different route, but we each have a passion for whatever part of astronomy we're interested in. And I have to say, that's not always the case when you go to a professional conference. I've been to many professional conferences when I was an astronomer. And when it was a sort of job, 9-to-5 job, sometimes, not occasionally, it was just a job. And I used to think, how could doing astronomy for a living just be a job? You know, it's a passion, it's a wonderful thing. And fortunately, as I think you probably agree, it's wonderful to be involved in some way in astronomy and to write about it and talk to people about it. I think that's a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you so much. So everybody, if you're not a member of the SPA, it's £23 a year. You don't get a free mug with dusty old garlic in it. You don't get the t-shirt, but all of these things can be purchased on our shop, in our shop things, and the camaraderie and all the other great stuff that comes with it. How's that?
Well, that's a good plug. Thank you. And buy the book.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, get that in.
Yeah. Now, this is a sequel. As you implied, this was a sequel to the book I wrote last year about Apollo 11, which went down very well. And the publisher said, well, what are you going to write next? And I said, well, how do you write a sequel of Apollo 11 in 1969? So I thought, look, 100 years after Apollo 11, not just 50 years as we did last year, and actually have a bit of fun looking forward to 2069 and looking back from 2069 to see how we get back to the moon and how difficult it is, and much more difficult it will be to get to Mars in the 2040s, as I have it in the book. It was great fun to write, because who's going to prove me wrong?
Very good, very good. Well, very good. David, it's been a pleasure to meet. Good luck with the book. Everybody support David's amazing book. It looks like a doozy. So see you later. Bye, David.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
David. Great stuff, great stuff. Right, we're coming to an equipment review. The box. This thing is a mega beast. It is a mega beast. It's a hand warmer flashlight from Celeste. It's magic, because inside here it's got some soup. No, it doesn't really have soup in it. It's got it's got a power bank in it as well, so you can charge your phone. It's got two different Wanted it. Right, now, this thing is a beast thermotorch from Celestron. You press it, it's a really bright torch in with 3 brightnesses. But then when you hold down the magic button, which I'll switch on, I will convey to you how hot it's getting. The heat starts coming. Now, you might think it's somewhat of a gimmick, but let me tell you, instead of my fingers all curling up and being so cold that I couldn't deal with my lens caps and my equipment, it's already coming on, I can feel it. It got so warm and toasty in my pocket, and I have been told that you can use these for a bed warmer if you're out camping and what have you. So it's absolutely fantastic. Elements thermotorch, it's called. It's a beast. Up to 6 hours, 3-in-1 hand warmer. Yeah, anyway, highly recommend one. There's also little kind of pebble like hand warmer, brilliant. But this thing is the beast. This version doesn't do red light, I'm afraid. Sorry. I got it for roughy tufty outdoorsiness. So yeah, the red light. I have got my red light torch, but this version doesn't have it. So in a moment we are going over to Mr. Steve. Let me just check my phone. Just check this. We had problems connecting yesterday, actually. Let me ping you the link to this in Facebook. Steve, can you log on now, please, my dearest? Because we are due to come over to you. David's Apollo talk is superb, highly recommended. Steve, let's have a look at the emails. There's not a week goes by where I don't have an episode on this show that makes my hair go a tiny bit grey. I don't think I've ever had a perfect one. Right, let's have a look. Okay, Steve, I sent the email to your binocular sky. Let me ping it to you in Facebook. I'll sent to him yesterday. This thing's, oh, I've heard the noise. He's here. He's here. He's here. Steve is here. A little pop noise. Let's just see if his camera's going to come on. See you. It's just a white box. Oh, he's coming. It's upgraded from a white box to a grey box. So tonight, Steve is going to be talking about his incredible good news. What is happening? Let's see what we do. Steve, don't swear. We can hear you something, but we can't see you.
Can you hear me at least?
You're just a lovely white dot at the minute. I'll just pretend that you're a planet. Are you all right there?
Yeah, we seem to have problems. Right.
Okay, hair and glasses for anybody who's imagining what he looks like. How's that? Oh, he's gone. Right, try again, Steve. Try again. That's what you get for insulting astronomers. Try again. Steve, I'm going to ping you the invite again. It says that you need to connect your mic or cam. It all worked so well yesterday in the tech rehearsal. We do rehearse this, you know. We do rehearse this. Let me send you the link on Facebook. I refuse to be drawn in by panic this time. Oh, he's made the noise again. Let's have a look. Maybe he's back. Device not connected. Oh, I can see him. Oh my gosh, everybody. Popular astronomers, rejoice. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All hail Steve Tonkin. Yeah.
Hey, we got there at last.
How are you, Steve? It's always so good to see you, even though we've only met once or so.
Yep. Vicky, you keep breaking up. I can't hear you.
Don't break up with me, Steve.
Yeah. So you said I had to wear a spacey T-shirt.
Go on, let's have a look.
God, if I must. Right.
Come on, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's put you full screen. Full screen. What does it say, Steve? Oh, cool.
Bombed out in space on a spaced out bomb.
Oh, okay. That's
very early. Yeah, very early John Carpenter film called Dark Star, which, if anyone's into sci-fi, whoops, space movies, my camera's doing its own thing, right? Anyone's into sort of sci-fi stuff like that must know Dark Star. One of the finest science fiction movies ever made, 1970s. So all 1970s tech, lovely.
I am breaking up apparently. So Steve, why don't you just launch into your good news and your the answers to the questions about I'm just going to put you full screen and you can talk for the next 10 minutes or so, okay?
Well, just shut me up when you need to.
All right.
Right. Jolly good. The big news for me, it's only big news for me. It's not big news for anybody else, really. I've been retired for blooming ages, and people back in February kept sending me this thing. Look, Steve, that's a good job for you, and I applied for it. And last week, I actually got offered it because everything went to sleep over lockdown. And what it is Dark Skies Advisor to the Cranbourne Chase Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty, which last October was granted International Dark Sky Reserve status. So it's something that really close to my heart, really like to do, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to do it. Cranbourne Chase is an interesting place. It covers, well, it includes 4 different counties, which makes for its own difficulties because you're not dealing with a single planning authority. You're dealing with 4 of them. Well, actually, no, you're dealing with 9 because there's also district councils as well involved with it. So it sort of straddles Dorset, Hampshire, Somerset, Wiltshire, and about just under 400 square miles of stuff. So last year, as a result of some incredibly hard work, really over 10 years by Linda Nunn, who's the director, Bob Misen, who a lot of people might have heard of, runs Commission for Dark Skies. And then for the last 18 months, the last 18 months, Amanda Scott, who had the role that I'm going to be taking on, and they actually got this together. I mean, we were spending hours in the winter, every clear night, every clear moonless night, going out with sky quality meters, taking readings, and so we each had about 23 kilometer squares we had to cover. So it was enormous fun. This was a Wessex Astronomical Society gig, mostly doing that sort of thing, and the idea of an International Dark Sky Reserve is it's somewhere that possesses, quote from this criteria, at least 700 square kilometers, that possesses exceptional or distinguished quality of starry nights and nocturnal environment, and is specifically protected for its scientific, natural, educational, cultural heritage and or public enjoyment. And what we do is we actually have 2 regions. So we've got the core region, which is in the middle, and that has to meet all of these values. And then we've got a peripheral buffer zone around it, which sort of supports it. So we've really, so the idea is you've got this protected zone, and then the bit around the outside, you want to try and keep it fairly dark. I mean, we do have issues. Salisbury's right on the perimeter of it. That's actually not so bad. The really bad one is Fawley, which is miles away over at Southampton. It's a big oil refinery, but the light dome from that is horrendous. Fortunately, it's far enough away it doesn't get very, very high. But the Dark Sky Reserve itself has to be done as a partnership. So it's landowners, administrators, anybody who recognizes the value of this. And the idea is that to really try and promote things like ecotourism, astrotourism, and environmentally to protect the nocturnal habitats, because a lot of animals now that used to just have day and night just now have day and day, particularly with this new blue rich LED lighting, high temperature stuff. And we need to encourage land administrators, surrounding communities, everybody, any private interest, to realize that this is a valuable natural resource. I mean, the Galloway Dark Sky Reserve reported a couple of years ago And you will not get an investment like this anywhere else on the planet. And what it shows was that for every pound invested, there was £1.93 coming back. Oh, where the heck else do you get an investment like that? It's there. The thing about dark skies, we all know this as astronomers, is nobody loses. This is the one thing we can do where absolutely everybody benefits. And so what we're going to be working on, and what my job will be, is first, I mean, the hard work's been done, and that was basically Amanda and Linda and Bob. My job's going to be basically not messing it up, but really trying to get other locations to get involved in this, and to really get this idea that we can do it and it's worthwhile doing it around, just out into the local community. And it's a worthwhile thing to do. I mean, we've had to show that over the whole of the core area, the zenith luminance is better than Mag 6, or 21.2 magnitudes per square arc second. So it's really been, it's dark. Go there. You probably see images of places like Knowlton Church, which is just on the periphery of the dark. It's in the dark sky zone, in the core zone, but it's only just. It's one that I don't go there, because usually when it's a nice night, there's about 50 other people there trying to image the place. And at the moment, what we've had to do is we've had to get at least 67% of the lighting within there has to be compliant. Within 5 years, well, this is what my job's going to be, we've got to get that up to 90 and have a plan for getting up to 100% within 10 years. And we have to report to the International Dark Sky Association annually. But it's, you can probably tell I'm really excited about this. Since, I had the interview and I was offered the job the same day, but we've been waiting for the paperwork. But since then, I've been like a 6-year-old on Christmas morning. This is something that I really want to do, and I'm really looking forward to, doing what I can to try and get this absolutely working, and really honouring the work that Linda and Amanda and Bob Meisen have done to get us to this place. We're also looking at building an observatory on the place. We've got the telescope. In fact, we've got more than one telescope. We've got some decent telescopes being donated, one of which is exceptionally decent. And we just need the observatory site, where we'll get that. And that will be a wonderful outreach opportunity. So we're really going for this dark, pushing the idea that, we are surrounded by cities and towns with lights: Salisbury, Blandford Forum, Shaftesbury, all these places, all of which, they like, but we can do it, and we can bring back to people what lighting has taken away. That's, urban kids don't see anything much more beyond the moon and maybe a couple of bright planets, maybe a space station pass, all of which is very exciting. But it's nothing compared to what you can see when you get out somewhere like, anywhere decently dark. I mean, I grew up in tropical Africa. I was 8 miles outside the nearest town, and it was like you could just sort of reach out and touch it. It was so nice, because all the street lights went out. 11 o'clock anyway, which is something that's starting to happen, but not for dark skies reasons. So with things we're trying to do, essentially, one is we're trying to get people to reduce the amount of lighting, and basically it should be, there are limits on that. Shield the lighting so it goes down. And the really important thing, which a lot of people don't realize, is you've got to get the color temperature down. The color temperature is essentially, hot ones are the blue ones, and they are terrible. They keep you awake. They give, they're the ones that give animals, insects, day and day instead of day and night. And they are really bad for our health. There are a lot of things that come in because we don't have that. Because we don't have proper sleep, proper rest time due to blue lighting. So this is what we're on for. And I can tell I'm really excited. I start on the 12th of next month. I'm probably going to be bubbling away doing this sort of thing. I'm at conferences and all that before that, because I want to prepare for it anyway. I've got a big learning curve. I'm an old man. I don't learn things as easy as I used to, but we're going for it.
No,
right.
Steve,
I should probably stop the verbal diarrhea.
Steve, right, well, you're not going to hear this because obviously we're all at home, but everybody at home, let's all give Steve a huge round of applause. As Ian says here, your enthusiasm is infectious. I'm going to give you a standing ovation for that, Steve, because now it means that you've got, wow, I mean, you're going to make such a difference with your lovely personality and your knowledge and just the way that you're going to have the power to make people do those lights. Wonderful news.
Yeah. Pete Williamson has started referring to me as Hodges from Dad's Army. Turn the lights out!
Yeah, now you've got an official
Cheeky.
stance to it. Yeah, Jerry said that's a very important point, Steve. It's all very important. Everything Steve says is important, let's face it.
No, it isn't. I'm capable of talking rubbish just like everybody else.
So do you anticipate any difficulties with this then, Steve? What barriers might you come up against?
Well, the big problem is we're dealing with 9 authorities. That's one thing. The other thing is that COVID has obviously it's slowed things down. Consultations, meetings, you just can't have them in the same way. But, you know, we've got a really dedicated team. Linda Nunn, who is the director of the AONB, she's been working on this for 10 years. She's absolutely dedicated, and she's got really, really good ideas of how we can do stuff, which I sort of have to, I can't quite say what they are yet, but people will find out once I get my teeth into this job.
So, Steve, could you give us how can we get the naughty people to turn off their bad lights? How do we do that without a catapult? I didn't say that.
No, I'm afraid a catapult and 3/8-inch ball bearing is going to get you done for criminal damage. So don't do that. Also, actually, lasering the sensor also can get you done for criminal damage. So no, don't do that. It's really got serious, but seriously, it's got to be through persuasion. It's got to be through showing people that actually probably 90% of insecurity lighting is it's just completely wasteful. It doesn't do the job anyway. You know, people have this idea that lights are intelligent. They are good for good people and bad for bad people. Well, they're not. You know, I mean, I've got images of burnt out cars under a street light, and you can you can see, and you can see where there's I've got a few images where the light's on. You can't see the intruder. When the light's off, you can see the intruder because of glare and dazzle and all the rest of it. No, we're not trying to get everybody to turn all the lights off everywhere. That would be stupid. What we just want is the adage is the right amount of lighting in the right place at the right time. That's all. And that's all we need. And with that, we would save probably 3 power stations worth of electricity and all the carbon dioxide that goes into the sky. You know, there are benefits all over if we do this. I mean, this is something I've been working with for the last 30 years, really. 1990, I made a program with BBC Bristol on light pollution, and it was sort of, whoa, people hadn't even heard of it, but got some really good correspondence out of that. And people are becoming more and more aware of it. And I think lockdown, in one way, has helped because, you know, we were talking earlier about people with Grant. You know, astronomy's just taken off. Don't I know it? I've got an order with Grant's outfit, which I'm still waiting for, and I know it's not their problem. I'm not knocking them for it at all. But people becoming more aware, and also then becoming aware of what they can't see. And I think we can use that to our benefit. I'll do anything which if I think it's legal and worthwhile, we're on for it, mate.
Wow, Steve, sounds like you should be our National Dark Skies officer with an ethos like that. It's so exciting.
Possibly not. I can sometimes be a little tactless, as my dear wife will tell you.
Yes, your bottom does look large in that, Louise.
No, I've never said that. I have never said that to her. and I won't say why, but
I
no,
got-
my son's the one for that. Someone said, who will remain nameless, said, "Does this make my bum look big?" He said, "No, it's your bum that makes your bum look big."
that's
Anyway,
what a great comeback. I'll have to remember never to say that to anybody. Steve, my darling, what is happening in the
Vicky,
sky?
lovely to see you.
Just before we go, Steve, give us a quick rundown of what's good to see this weekend in binoculars.
In binoculars, well, David mentioned we've got the Summer Triangle sort of heading out there, and there's a load of stuff around the Summer Triangle region which you can see. And moon's in the wrong place at the moment, but once the moon's out the way, catch the lower bits of Aquila and look for the dark nebulae. There's some, I mean, they're basically molecular clouds, the gas and dust that stars are going to form out of, and they look like they're holes in the Milky Way. They're not holes in the Milky Way. It's foreground dust, and absolutely lovely to look at. And you can pick them up in 50mm binoculars relatively easily. You just have to let your eyes get adjusted well first. They're actually sometimes more difficult to see. But something like the North American Nebula, which is up by Deneb, I find the way to find that with binoculars, you can chuck filters into the eyepieces. UHC filters are wonderful for that. But if you don't try and detect the light bit of it. Try and detect the dark patch. And once you've got the dark patch, then the rest of it sort of comes into view around it. It's quite interesting. If David can do a plug, so can I. It's all explained in there. Which, thank you for plugging the other day. But there's some good, and then we're losing the southern Milky Way, and then of course anything around Cassiopeia, Perseus, Camelopardalis, that area there. The problem is not finding clusters. The problem is identifying the ones you do find. There is just so much going on there. Absolutely beautiful part of the sky to look at with binoculars. I love it. I could spend, I just spend hours looking at that part of the sky. Oh, I remember you. No, I don't remember you. What are you? Oh, yes, I should remember you. I'm just getting old. It's going up my brain. So it's, yeah.
Steve, the universe is a richer place for having you in it. So thank you so much for
you're really very kind, Vicky, and the same to you. And thanks for doing this show. I think it's been great, to have David and Grant on it as well. So good people who do a lot for astronomy.
That's lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll say good evening to you now. Thank you, Steve. See you soon, hopefully. Well, maybe not.
See you soon, Vicky. Well, maybe not see you, but we'll certainly talk soon. Right.
Clear dark skies forever. Right. Okay. I'm going to clear off because it's getting cold in here, and I don't know how good my internet is. Maybe this isn't going to be. Maybe the laundrette is not going to be my forever home. I'm running out of options now. Not sure what to do next for places to broadcast from. Maybe once the tourists who are wonderful coming to Anglesey kind of, because it used to be really good. The internet was great right at the start of lockdown when the island was really empty. So maybe over the next couple, we're going back into lockdown. Maybe I might be able to do my show better. The only benefit of lockdown. I'll see you all later. Let's have a look. Thank you to everybody who's commented this evening. Thank you so much to our guests, Grant, David, and the wonderful Steve Tonkin, Paulina. Bye, Steve. I know, Steve's just magic, isn't he? Please do join the SPA. Clear, dark, amazing, beautiful, calm skies.